That's the one I went with. The most lowbrow one possible.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. It's Michael Morris here with my co-hosts, Madison Gillespie and Andrew Leachman. Boys, how are you?
Doing great.
Doing fantastic. Pepped up on plenty of espresso.
Yeah, I thought you were going to get that peppermint drink or whatever you got before at Starbucks.
Disgusting.
I'm glad you brought it with you.
Yeah, I need all the energy I can.
You're a multifaceted man, that's all I know. This week I want to get into, we kind of skim the surface about Lincoln Wallace, who is now the sponsor of this show, but also part of this show. Madison, Lincoln Wallace, give a little background on what that actually is.
Yeah, sure. So to kind of start back a little further, Lincoln Wallace was kind of formed, I don't want to say by fluke, but my business partner, Josh Basinger, we've been friends since about 15 or 16 years old. And we've kind of maintained that friendship throughout most of our lives. Well, I mean, now we're business partners. And a part of the journey was that Josh went to school over at Fisher College of Business, got his accounting degree, then got his MBA, and started doing some freelance work for several local businesses here in Columbus. One of the businesses that came, kind of approached him, it was actually another accountant that approached him because they were needing some help. They were having all kinds of issues within their company. So he decided to take the meeting, and he went in and he met with them. And as the conversation went on, they found out that there was a lot of stuff going on in the background for this company, including the accountant that had reached out to Josh. So after he looked at the books and looked over everything, a couple weeks later, he went back to the owner and said, clearly there's money that's being stolen from this company. They owe back taxes to the IRS. They may have their assets seized because of the situation that they're in.
So nothing big going on, just your typical account.
Yeah, typical Tuesday.
Yeah.
Typical embezzlement.
Yeah. I mean, who hasn't done that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing it this afternoon, but go on.
Yeah. I'm
Yourself.
in.
Yeah. I'm going to steal from myself.
Man, they're never going to know I bought this old burger chain.
This QuickBooks is really helping me out. So go ahead. Sorry.
That's awesome. No, so I guess that kind of turned into a situation where the only way my business partner was going to work with them is if he kind of took over, because they needed a lot of help, and the people that were there were stealing money. Mm-hmm. So why would you want to even be involved in that? The business owner had a partner, let the partner go, and brought my business partner and Josh and said, I would love for you to take over and help out, because if you don't, we're going to lose the company. Fast forward, 3.5, 4 years later, the company is now doing so much better to the point where all the debt's paid off. Don't owe to the IRS anymore. I mean, really completely turned this entire business around that was about to go under. The value in that is priceless.
Right. I
mean, you could lose your whole company. It was kind of a fluke how it happened, but after it happened, seeing Josh's skill set in that situation, he actually ended up getting equity in the company because of what he did for them. And that kind of sparked Lincoln Wallace, not just from coming in and trying to take over somebody's company. That's not what we're doing.
Right.
We build a company based off problems for small businesses on the back end of their companies, whether it be taxes, whether it be payroll administration, whether it be anything from just doing the daily books. And the disconnect that we found is you could have a company that is doing $20 million a year in revenue, and another one's doing $1 million, and you have one person in-house and one person maybe doing it themselves. And how can the person that's doing $100,000 in revenue pay for somebody, to do that for them?
Right.
Because a lot of accountants charge retainers per month, and yeah, they're actively managing, the back end for you, but are they really looking at the business as a whole? Are you overpaying in IT work? Are you overpaying on payroll? Do you have, a lot of these small...
Could you outsource some things?
Could you outsource some things? Exactly right. And that's, in essence, what we do. We are a partner first, but it is considered an outsource, to where you're not paying an employee to sit there. You're not paying, their insurance and all the costs that are involved. You have the same resource, minus, we like to say, the headache, because it can be a headache to have to have an employee manage that, and it's cost efficient.
Right.
And I could almost argue almost every client that we're currently working with we're saving them money on a monthly basis.
Well, you're also working with people across the country. I mean, we're doing
Correct.
a show in Columbus, Ohio,
That's
but
right.
there are times I've tried to reach out to you, and Andrew says, "Oh, he's in Denver," and I'm like, well, "Why is he in Denver?
I don't
We
even
all
know
why.
why.
He's in Denver.
Yeah.
Well, we know why Andrew wants to go to. Looking at this as an overall company, it is a smart thing to have somebody look into that, and you guys are kind of independent, right? So
Correct.
it's not you're afraid to talk to the boss or somebody like that. You want to find the mistakes, right? You want to find the holes.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, I use the same approach that I used when I was at the station. I'm in this to help you. If it doesn't help you, or if we're not doing things to make your life easier, if we're a burden whatsoever, then it's not worth it. It's not a good partnership. I'm coming in to help, first off, save you money, improve efficiencies, take time off your plate. Because, I mean, I know my mom, she ran a business for 30 years. And every Sunday, she'd spend 3 or 4 hours doing all the accounting, all the bookkeeping. And while she was good at that, a lot of small business owners don't even want to deal with that.
Right.
And then when they go to find somebody to help them, they can't afford it. And the reality is, a lot of the costs on the back end for these accounting companies are a little high. I mean, we've had clients that we've given a proposal to after we met with them, and they said that we're too low in our costs. And the reason for that is we're trying to make it as efficient as possible, and there's so many opportunities out there using technology to really automate a lot of the back
Right.
end. You know?
Right.
And it's not that some business owners don't even know that they can do it this way. A lot of them are still using QuickBooks on desktop. They haven't converted over to online, where you can have access to all of your data from anywhere in the country. And the beauty of it for us is we do have clients across the country. One of our biggest clients is out in Denver, and we're able to work remotely and be just as efficient as if we're sitting at a desk within their business, you know, as an actual employee. And so it gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to work in multiple states. Our focus is mainly Columbus, but we have branched out to other areas, and it's worked out great for us.
But let me ask you this: when you are selling your services to somebody, you're looking at the positives, right? If somebody comes to you, it's not always that I've got this massive hole and I've got to fix it, right? It
Correct.
is. Some of them could be that.
Some of them
We're
could
going to
be,
go out
yeah.
of business if we
Yeah.
don't fix this.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is we need to streamline this.
That's right.
We're bringing in revenue, we're bringing in sales, but I'm not quite sure where our leaks are.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. A great example. One of my clients actually at the station, who was a friend of mine, he reached out to me after I had left the station and kind of wanted to know what I was doing, and I kind of explained the business concept, and he goes, "You have no idea how awesome that is for small business owners, because most small business owners have an accountant, they have a tax person, they do payroll through a different
And
company,
a lawyer.
IT
Insurance agent.
insurance agent. They have all these vendors across multiple platforms and multiple people you have to call for different situations. We created our company to be that source for everything on the back end. We actually have somebody in-house that does all the IT work for small businesses. We have somebody, Josh, my business partner, does all taxes, accounting, bookkeeping. He can then handle any issues with the IRS. Really, we're all-encompassing back office solutions company, so that there's one source that you call for all those needs. Is kind of how we built our business model.
You know what's interesting is, Andrew, you have your small business and entrepreneurial hat. You knew Madison for a different reason, but at the time, wouldn't you have needed Lincoln Wallace for that? Like, would that have, could you?
I think he would have needed Lincoln Wallace for liability. He needed insurance to protect himself.
Well,
that's very true.
But here's my question, because you were in a group of people that had a company, and let's just not say what it is, but if it rains, you'll need one of these.
Yeah.
So, in that step, wouldn't you guys have needed someone to do that back end piece?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a conversation we had.
We proposed it multiple times, and
Well, I think I remember that, but that wasn't your initial conversation with Madison. It was one of those things like that's
do you
why I
want
thought
to
you
hear?
were
Do you
talking.
want to hear how I met Madison?
I think we should definitely tell that story. That is like a fantastic, because I heard that story before we actually met, and I think the listeners should know why you guys are so tight.
So I worked, one of my previous side jobs was working security downtown at Novax. And we had a company Christmas party, and he was there. Novax also owns, Yogi's on France Road, Hard Road.
The filling station.
The filling station. You're welcome, Greg, for the free plug.
Hi, Greg.
What's up, Greg?
But everybody kind of comes down to Novak's for the Christmas party. They shut it down. It's nuts. It's a good time. They open the bar up. Everything's available. They have entertainment. They have people on stilts. Everybody gets wild. And I was sitting there, and I remember this guy saying, "Hey, I think I can take this guy." And like he's just talking. He's talking not about me, at me.
Now keep in mind, I'm about 5'11", 6 foot, 180. Andrew's
I'm about 6'3", 255.
Yeah, if you're 180, you got 9 stones in your pocket.
That's right. Well, I'm a purple belt, so I thought I had a chance.
So I just remember turning and looking at him. I think I just grabbed him by his shirt.
Probably his lapels.
By his shirt, and just like O-lineman picked him up and pinned him against the wall.
Which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, which is what you were looking for.
Yeah,
because this was going to be a business relationship and also a radio
I knew
show,
it right off the bat. Yeah, I'm like, I could really work with this guy.
we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
He likes to pick people up, and I like flight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we started laughing after that. Like when he started like laughing when I did it because he was like pinned up against the wall 3 feet off the ground, and like, okay, no,
I think it was unique because I don't think too many people. I mean, obviously I could not take him.
Like I just did it with a smile, turned and just grabbed him and picked him up, and he was like, oh. I think we ended up finishing a bottle of bourbon that night, and then we had some run-ins with we kind of furthered our relationship a little bit when I was working for the previous company, and he was handling all their marketing. And we met before. I got all the information on what he was selling for NBC, essentially, the entire package, and then went to my bosses and sold them on it, so that when they met Madison, they were ready to sign. Like, he had the easiest close ever.
It was the easiest sale ever.
Well, it was the easiest sale, and then it became the toughest sale to even get people to pay the bills.
Well, Madison was not in a paying. He was in a selling situation. He needed Lincoln Wallace to help himself out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and then, we kind of furthered our relationship from there, and we were trying to work on a lot of things that were back office with branding. He was just helping me as a friend, helping me try to build something and build my own worth with the previous company. And we couldn't get any traction. Nothing. That was one of the other things that was so frustrating to me, is kind of how one of my friends, who was a very valuable business asset for a growing company, was just kind of tossed off the side. And fundamentally, the back office stuff literally came to bite them in the rear end as it went full circle. And about the time it started to come to a head with Madison and NBC, my stuff and my sales team had enough as well. We kind of just left and took half the company with me and went somewhere else.
But then you referred to Madison at that time too to secure those leads and know what you're doing, right? So you were still leaning on him for business advice.
Yeah. Oh, him and I went, time and time around about it, and I just said, I can't. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I think he had some similar things go on that were just, you have a line in the sand, and when it's crossed, especially with me, I won't put up with anything from anybody that I don't think I need to.
But there's a line you have to be worried about going up against. You need professional representation. You need someone to do that, right? So because we all overreact at times. I know. Rachel,
I didn't want it to be personal. I didn't want it to be a personal thing. Like, oh, I feel so offended. I'm going to leave and take half the sales team with me just to stick it to you. When I got done with it, I was just done, and that's what we talked about it, and I said, think I should just continue to try to market in their area and go after them, and no, just drop it.
Do you find that you see that a lot lately? That companies are splitting off or getting bigger, and do you have to intercede on those, or is it one of those things where you've got a relationship with a couple people, and as they split, you're going to take one or the other?
Actually, it's happened.
The situation kind of dictates.
Yeah, it does. It's really funny. You talk about not going into business with friends because money can get in the way between people, and I've seen it firsthand. It just is something as simple as one person not knowing about something on the accounting side and having that meeting and bringing it up to two business owners, and we've actually seen people separate because of just...
You mean like right then?
Right
then. Decide.
Yeah.
Okay, but hold on, because we're up against a commercial break, and I don't want you to give that away. But the question I have is, two people are going to split. You have to take a side, right? Because it is your obligation to the company, not the person.
Right.
Okay? So the company is what you're invested in. The people, do they matter as much? The relationship, does that matter as much as the company?
I think it's a sticky situation. At the time they weren't a client. It was actually our second meeting with them. So I really
went to a second meeting and this was going on.
Yeah.
That's a fun.
Yeah,
fun
I
day.
love drama.
Yeah.
That's a powder keg.
Yeah.
Did you say,
That's
I
great.
think I could take this guy?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. We're not friends.
Okay, good. You mean you and Andrew. Good.
Yeah, right.
Well, hold on, because we are against a break, but I want to get into this because there's something specific I want you to answer. You're listening to 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. We'll wrap this up right now. I'm ready when you are, Jim.
Okay.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Madison, I asked you a question before the break. Here's what I want to know. You've got a company that's going to split off into two pieces. Do you have loyalty, or would you give exclusivity to one person if they ask for it?
It depends. It's situational. In this instance, it was our second meeting. It wasn't a client.
So you haven't really built anything yet.
We hadn't really built anything yet. And the two gentlemen went their own separate ways. If it was a current client that we had, totally different situation, because the client is the most important thing because of the relationship with the business in that moment right there. If we're working with a client for 6 months and the business partners decide to go separate ways, our responsibility is to the client at that point.
But who is the client in the situation? This is why I'm going to ask.
Right, yeah, sure.
We've been in a situation where doing someone's media, people splinter off.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, let's just use a dentist, for example. This dentist, you have nothing on paper that says you're exclusive to me. But you're doing a great job for another one, and they say, well, I want to work with him too. I've heard you get good results. You have to protect one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of foregoing the chance to make money over here too. How do you handle that? Because you're going to get people that, whether they're heating and cooling places, furniture places, whatever it is, are you going to tie yourself to an exclusive, or do you feel that you are going to dig down deep on whoever comes to you?
We're going to dig down deep on whoever comes to us. I mean, we're not industry specific. We're not anything specific. We have enough knowledge across multiple industries where it's more about the client in that situation. And to give you an example, the one that I shared earlier, two gentlemen that had been business partners for a year started disagreeing when we brought up basic financial situations to them. It was nothing that we did. It was just they didn't have boundaries within their own business, and this just kind of came to the surface when we started talking about it. The one gentleman didn't have any access to the financials whatsoever. He's bringing in all this revenue, but the other guy is like, I'm the financial guy. I'll handle all of it. I'm the whiz. But he wasn't paying him out like he should. Yeah, I'm the whiz.
So in that scenario, you kind of become the bad guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, since nothing had been closed on either end, I went with the one that I originally had the relationship with. Just for the simple fact that that's kind of what got me into the door originally. And he ended up starting his own separate company. We now manage the whole entire back end for him. And because there was, he left one company to start his own. We helped him start it. We now manage it for him. It was just so happened that about 6 months after that, the other side of the business reached out to us too. So in that situation, we're actually working with both people that separated, but at the same time, we're implementing best practices for that business, taking the emotions out of it and all that. Because at the end of the day, the relationships are super important to us, but it's still a business. And we still have to do the tasks that we said we were going to do.
But I think it's important if you are a small business and an entrepreneur, and that's why we're doing the show, is to talk to those people, not just to give them best practices, but to let them know there are resources out there.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a story, but the biggest thing I see is a lot of people will say, well, these 5 people helped me get my business started, so I'm going to stay. I'm not going to move from them.
Right.
Well, as an entrepreneur, you don't get to say that.
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
And you don't get to define yourself. I had a doctor tell me, and this is not a slam on him, but I'm looking at it the same way we all do, generating revenue. And I said, what happens if you have somebody come in here and they're willing to pay to sign up for your program, and then they don't come all the time? And he said, you got 2 feet. If you have one in and one out, get the hell out of here. I'm not going to treat you. And I said, that's wrong. Because you are a business.
Right.
If somebody signs up for a gym membership, they don't go, hey man, you're not coming a lot. We don't
See
want to
ya.
take your money.
Right.
You know, we'll
Yeah.
prorate it. But that's what I always tell people is if you have a small business, you have to take revenue where it makes sense, where people pay, and where there can't be loyalty to one piece. Right?
Correct. Well, the reason why our business model works is, and if you're a business owner, you can relate to this. If you just look at your monthly expenses, everything that you're paying out, whether it be electric, whether it be IT services, payroll, whatever that is, are you looking at that on a regular basis? Because what we find is a lot of these businesses, they're doing things right. They really are, but they're not doing them as inexpensively as they could because, just for example, payroll companies. Payroll companies add on fees throughout.
Because they got to make payroll too.
That's right. That's exactly right. And they add on these fees, and if you're not constantly monitoring that and seeing those fees go up and down, and it's not that you don't care, it's just that if you're a business owner, you understand, you're an entrepreneur, how hard it is to keep up with every aspect all the time. So, yeah, so why, here's a great example. A client that I currently have told me specifically after we got done with our meeting, Madison, I wish I would have had Lincoln Wallace 5 years ago. You would have saved me tens of thousands of dollars in mistakes. And the only reason I didn't go with somebody or reach out and try to get a company like yourself or an accountant was to save money. So you try to save money, but you end up
save money, but I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but I don't want to pay somebody else.
Well, and they don't know they're making mistakes because they're doing it themselves.
Right.
So the mistakes come months after things are done incorrectly. So after I sat down with a client, we totaled up everything that he was spending in a month for his back office. We were able to do it for $200 a month cheaper. He was doing it himself and still paying more money than what we're doing.
I'm probably still spending more hours.
More hours. And
Slightly,
having the
for sure,
having the headaches, dealing with stuff. Right after we took over working with them, there was a tax issue that came up a month later. And all you had to do was call us and we fixed it for him.
Well, when you say that, you say it like, no big deal, it's a tax issue. But like everybody freaks out about taxes. You're working with somebody for a month. Has anyone called you and been like, guess what? I just found this grenade with the pin pulled, and could you do something with it? I don't have time to meet though. Like, can you do?
Great analogy.
Well, there's a lot of times like I get somebody that'll say, I forgot we're having a sale this weekend and it's Wednesday. What can you do? Oh, I can do a ton of things.
Yeah.
None of them will work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You do the best you
can do.
Right. Well,
yeah.
You're big on lead time, right? Everything for you is 30, 60, 90 days, maybe 120. If you don't have that lead time, you're still going to do the best you can. But in an entrepreneurial world, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes
That's
something
not how
happens.
branding doesn't work just by a commercial ran right now.
Right.
It's 3 or 4 months ahead of time.
But that's why we try to explain it. But you got the same thing. If taxes are due April 15th, you know that for the last, 200 years. And it's when somebody goes, we just figured this out. They literally hand you this bomb, and you have to go, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I have to give credit to Josh, my business partner.
I love Josh.
Yeah, and you haven't even met him, which is amazing.
Doesn't
and you
matter.
still love him.
Still
Yeah.
love the guy.
He's
Josh.
awesome. Love you, Josh.
Seeing you, Josh.
He's just a really skilled in what he does. And, he has a background in taxes. He actually worked at Goldman Sachs out in New York for a while. He has a really, long history of kind of showing what he's done for other people, taxes being one of them. There's situations where literally people will reach out to us just because of tax nightmares. We had one out in Denver that was 3 years back taxes. Just crazy. And Josh was able to, in a couple months, get it all straightened out for him, and the guy was, ecstatic.
Hired another firm, but he was happy.
Yeah. He didn't go with us, but he's happy.
Right. He really liked us.
Yeah.
We are almost out of time. Is there one thing that you want to tell people about Lincoln Wallace that, obviously as time moves on, we're gonna promote the gig. But if there's one thing they should know about you, what would that be?
I'll say this. It's a story that we share sometimes when we talk with clients, and some people don't think about this, some do. What it turns into when you work with somebody like us, like Lincoln Wallace, we're not just, we're a partner with you. We know every aspect of your business. And the beauty of that is, if anything would ever happen to the owner of the business, whether you get sick or something comes up where you can't manage the business on a day-to-day basis, we're so intertwined into the businesses that we're a resource to help you in those situations. And if you've ever been a small business owner and you know what that's like when it kind of all is on you, we have a proven track record to be able to come in and help small businesses when there's times of need like that. From an operational standpoint, not just from an accounting standpoint. And we have multiple clients that we work with that we've done that for. And so it's kind of an insurance policy for a small business owner. If you have a family at home and you're the only one running your business and something happens for a couple months, who do you turn to? And we've been able to help small businesses in those exact situations, which I think is really cool.
Cool. Well, boys, that's it for this week. Andrew,
Awesome.
Madison,
Yeah.
tell the people goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you later, guys.
We'll see you next week with the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.